Hi, and welcome to the third part in an ongoing series about how to use Django to develop a small business management website. In today's video, I'll be covering how to use a custom user model and using authentication using Django-allauth. As I've already introduced to you, we'll be using Django-allauth so that if you want to extend your application, you can make sure that you will allow a user to authenticate using the current social media account. So as you already know that many users are not interested in creating many accounts, as creating many accounts comes with additional security privacy concerns regarding data breach and others. So the reason I would recommend using Django-allauth because it will allow you to allow authentication using both social media, Google, others. So make sure that you check out the documentation. They have a really good one, and as they provide many settings, I have a file which we'll be discussing about, but you can search Django-allauth and read a lot about it. But it is a really good module to be using that has been developed by a person on I don't know how to pronounce the name, but thanks to him, I really like this module, and it has helped me for so much. So it provides nearly all things that you need regarding authentication, and it is the one that we'll be covering. If you want to read the documentation, I will make sure to include the link in the video description so that you can read it, but we'll be covering basics about those. Regarding the settings, you have seen the file in our folder known as allauth. It's a text file, and these include the setting that we'll be using. I will copy this and I explain it line by line. I didn't want to bore you typing those lines. So as always, let's open our project in VS Code and power up and start coding. So in our last video, we have already separated development settings and production settings, and then for now, let's first activate our virtual environment. So to activate our virtual environment for now, so and activate, I'm just changing from this, I'm backing up and then switching to the script folder and running that activate script. As you can see, our virtual environment has been activated. If you use pip freeze, you can see currently the installed module, which has for now it's Django and Django decap, which I've installed, and our previous one to allow us to hide our private information to be accessed. So the next Django command that I'm going to be using, as I've seen, you can see different commands that you can use using Django. Now I'm going to use Django start app command, Django admin start app, but I don't need to use this one, as also I'll be using Python manage.py to start app called user, and this is where we'll be creating our user model. So after the app has been created, all we need to do is to include it in our apps, as apps are in best here. So let's include the user app, which is our custom app. So let's add this one. Let's add a comment. Someone said to me, comments are code too, so make sure to use those wisely. So those are our apps. We'll be adding some other apps including Django-allauth and others, but for now, let's first define our user model. So as this has been included in our apps, now we can open it and see that we have different files, admin, apps, models. And if you're familiar with Django, you already know the structure of the app, and you know the use of those classes, models, and others. So in order to use custom user model, we'll be extending classes. If I've been learning Python, which I hope you have been doing, as you can know Django without knowledge of Python. So no class cross inheritance, so that one class can inherit features of another one. And for last, we'll be extending the user model using abstract base user and base user manager and using permission mixing, so that we can manage all those. So let's first import all those class that we'll be using. And I told you all those are hosted in Django.contrib.auth.modals, where our user model is hosted. So let's put base user model, base user manager. No, it's abstract base user, and permission mixing. You see how to use those. So you can hit save and resort. If you have configured VS Code like me, it will sort out the imports. So now what we need to do, let's first define our class. So class will be user as always, and we'll be extending abstract base user, abstract base user. And so let's define our field on our user model. So our user model already have password field. We do not need to define that already, but I don't want user to authenticate using username and email. I just want users to authenticate using email. I don't need people creating many usernames. And let's also add this class for permissions. And then so let's add an email field, which should be modals, which you need from modals.email field, email field, and can provide the variable's name, so that it should be equal to email max length, maybe using 150, not 250, according to using the documentation, and has to be unique, has to be used for authentication. I will not be using username for authentication. So the other thing that I want for my user is to have first name. It will be required for me. You can choose not to be, but so it will be actual a character field, and our variable's name will be first name. So max length 250, and that not need to be unique, but cannot be blank. As I told you, I be in need of or dot blank equal true. Then last name to be a character field between. If you want, you can skip it and then use the code that I will be providing. Also, I want to define the active flag, which will be a boolean, by default being true. Whenever user is signing, the default will be true. And that's all for now. And you have to define an insta flag to modals.boolean field, and the default have to be false, so that a user cannot be a staff whenever he's signing in. So let's also define a date joined field so that we can know that a user have joined on a given date. Modals.date time field, and using a default value, which shall be time zone dot now. You can use time zone dot now, or you can use auto now add equals to true, but I'm using time zone, so let's import this from Django utils dot utils import time zone. As I told you, we'll be also creating our custom user manager. So before proceeding, let's first define our user manager. Class user manager, which will be extending base user manager. So this class is the one that is responsible for creating and managing the user. So in order to use it as our manager for users, we need to have create function. Let's define create user function, and it will take in self, email, first name, last name, password, will be equal to none for now, and commit, which we define it to directly put it in our database, to be which is equal to true. So if not email, as I told you, each user need to have an email, so we'll raise a value error. And say user must have email. So if not, first name, as I told you, you can make it blank or not, but for me, all user need to have first and last name. So also raise value error. User must have first name. So you do this for all the field that you are data required on our model. So for last name, user must have last name. And user will be equal to self.model, which will be the model of self. Their email will be equal to self dot normalize email, and passing the email that they will have entered, and then first name will be equal to first name, and last name will be equal to last name, and that is all field that are required on our model. So now let's find a set password function. So user dot set password, those are coming from our base user manager, which we are inheriting. Set password using the password provided by the user. So if commit which is default to true. User dot save using self.db, and then return user. If we have no commit, we return the user so that we can do whatever we want before saving the user into the database. So after defining our user manager, we can now link our user manager to the user model, to the custom user model that we have defined. So objects equal to our user manager object, and now all we need to do to define is username field. As I told you, I'll not be using a username field on my model, so our username field is email, and required fields are it's a list. So first name, a username is already required, so email will be required, and last name. So all those will be required on our form. Then let's define the database that we'll be using. So using class method, set db table will be equal to auth user, which is the database created for user model. So variables name the user, and variables plural, variables name plural will be users. So there are specific functions that are required for a model to be used as a custom user model. So which are the one that we are going to define now. So let's first define the function of get full name. Which we take in self, and then to return the full name. Just go to using the placeholders. So you combine both first name and last name, and then to return full name, strip where or spaces before and after has been stripped off. And then the next function that you need to define is the string function self, and then this will return simply, you can return whatever you want. So for me, it return in placeholder also. Let's call the full name function combined with the email. So I want this email to be in brackets. So we'll see how those play right in admin panel. The next function that we need is the hasParm function, which will take in itself. And this parm function is used to determine the permission of a user whether to edit, update, or delete an object. So I will simply return true. And then the last function that I want to define is get short name, which is taking also self, and I will return self dot first name. Now the last module that I want is the profile module. If you want your user to have profile pictures and some other custom field, you don't need to include those on your user model, even though you have used a custom user model so that you can add different fields, but it's not advisable to continue to extend this with different fields which may not be required. The reason why I edited to add email and first name and last name, it's because I want my users to authenticate using email. I don't want any username field on any of my form and authentication. So that's why, as I be in need of profile pictures for my users, I will define a new model which will be having a one-to-one relationship to our user model. And then so let's create our class profile and then define our user. It should be a one-to-one field, model dot one-to-one field of user, and on delete I don't want to keep those, so I use models.cascade. If a user has been deleted, the profile should be deleted too, so no worries. And now the next one is a profile picture, so I will call this field image, but you can call it whatever you want. So image field, and this image field take to the judgment of uploading to. I want to upload those to profile, and I don't want this can be blank equals to, and null equals to. So as of now, you can even add another field. Let's add bio, short for biography models dot text field, then also be blank equals to, null equals to. So let's define string method to taking self, and this will return let's make it a formatted string which will take in the user and then add profile to it. So it will be self.user.get full name. So that is all for now. Let's go back to our settings so that we can configure the settings so that our setting will use our custom user model. If you define just that and do not mention the user model to use in your settings, still Django will use its built-in user model, which is hosted at django.contrib.org, and we do not want that. So in order to define the model that has to be used, we have to add this to the settings. So write auth user model, add this to your settings, and then go to your module, and then what will be the model, and have defined the model which is user. And that is all for now. So after being done, after changing the settings, let's run the migrations. I've got a bit of problem here, so let's add a black script here, sorry, and move this one. So as this one, got to look out for such errors. Can't avoid them sometimes, so I'll give you that. Hope we already made it that close here. I hope so. Okay, so we forgot that, and just self dot first name, what the percent. So you can save. I hope that was the last one. Yes, so if you guys have not started Piro, now you need to start Piro because you have added an image feed on this profile model. So let's install Piro first so that we can use. Cannot use an image feed without installing Piro first with Django. So install Piro. Can be really hard to install this one. So if you face any problem, refer to the installation. But for me, like, I think it's already done. So let's run migrations now. So to those are the migration that will be created, and so let's migrate. Python manage.py migrate. And we are all good now. So in this video we have learned how to use a custom user model. So then the last part of this video, I want to cover about the user creation form, which can also be really confusing. So we are going to create a forms file in our user module forms.py file, and a user creation form it will inherit from user creation form from Django.contrib.auth. So let's first import that from Django.contrib.auth.forms import user creation form, and let's import forms from Django. So let's import our user model from Django. There are many ways that you can import the user model, and the best way that you can use is to use a get user model function, which is also in Django.contrib get user model. So but as we have profile model, so we'll be importing that from our models in the current directory. So import profile, and then let's find our user, which will be equal to get user model function. Now let's define our create user form, which will inherit user creation form for validation. And as said already, it is inheriting from the model form. So what you need to find is a password field. Password 1 will be equal to a character, which will be a character field, char field, and label. So label will be equal to password. No, sorry, it has to be a string, and we get so that whenever user type in, you cannot see his password. So here's a password input from forms. Password input in, and the next one will be password 2, as we need our user to confirm the password. So it will be password 2 forms.child flip like before. With label, which will be to confirm password. Confirm password, and the widget will be password input to password input, and then the modal will be I'll use the modal chapter, find it here, and the fields will be a list. We need first name, first email, first name, and last name. So it's the problem. Modal is it's already defined it, so it's about formatting. And let's define clean password method on our model. Password 1 will be equal to self.clean the data get password 1 and password 2 to self dot clean data get password 2. If password 1 and password 2 and password 1 is different from password 2, we'll raise forms.validation error. Password do not match, as those passwords have to be the same, so errors will return. Password 2, which is the one that we were screening. So they define our save model, our save function, which are taking self, and commit, which is default to true. So user, but first we have to first save the user. Super.save commit equal to false, which means that we do not want to save the user into the database yet. So user.get they have to set password first. Let's set password. Let's save.clean data. Password 2, password 1, sorry. And the reason why we need to define all those, because we want to make sure that password is stored as password, so it will be stored in hash format so that no one can retrieve it. So if commit will save our user in the database, errors we just return user object. And an important function that you need to include on this form because we're using Django-allauth, if you do not provide this function, it is called signup. If two users sign up with same email, you will get a constraint error, do not place an unexpected error. So that's why you have to define this function. So this is dot first name during the sign up will be equal to self.cleanData dot get. Can use get, or let's retrieve the like this one, first name and user dot last name to self.cleanData. Last name, and then save our user. So that is all for the sign up form and the custom user model, and for now that's all that you have to do. And I promise that I will be covering how to use template in this video, but it has been a long video and I hope I didn't bore you. And as always, let's put this code on GitHub so that you can clone it. But before you go into that, so I want to show you how to create a file where you will be placing the requirement for the given project. So let's first install Django-allauth, install Django-allauth, which will be the one that we'll be using in authentication. So, and after installing this one, we'll be adding all those that have installed on a requirement file. So it's installing all of its dependencies, which are not quite a few, but it is really worth it. So what I want to have is about how to add all those modules that we have been installing into a requirement file, so that if you want to create this project on your laptop, you can install all those at once with same version like the ones I'm using. So to do that, all you need is just type in a simple command, pip freeze, and into a requirement .txt. So pip freeze slash so, and as you can see, we have a new file, which is requirement.txt, and those are all the dependencies that we have. So to have Django, Django-allauth, Django decouple, pillow, and all others, all those are installed based on all those modules that we have installed. So that is all for now. Let's upload our code, and then I will see you in the next one. So then to get back here and check the status, git status, and as you can see, have a requirement.txt and a new folder to add. So let's start to add those, even though that were modified, including our database, and as we have already made migrations in our base.py file, as we have added some settings. So, and after that, git commit /message and the be custom user model. And after that, so let's push it. Origin master. And so thank you for being with me. I'll see you in the next one. That was all.